neglected to provide for their families were condemned by the early church. A man don't provide for his family, he's as an infidel. Hallelujah. Hallelujah. So Paul gave instructions to those who refused to work, they should not be allowed to eat. 2 Thessalonians 3 and 10. He also reminded the churches that even though he had the right to earn his living solely from his ministry to them, he also worked as a tent maker to provide for himself because the church was not able to take care of him. Jesus worked. It would have been understandable if the Son of God had spent all his time in the temple discussing scriptures. But for the first 30 years of his life, Jesus worked with his earthly father, Joseph, as a carpenter. He worked. The biblical theology of work is that work was designed by God as man's earthly occupation. It is the means by which we sustain life and make discoveries about God's world. Tell somebody, I've got work to do. His work is creative, purposeful, and thorough. It is enjoyable to him and beneficial to us. One day in the new kingdom, new heaven and new earth, work will be returned to its pre-fall condition. It will be a fulfillment to us and a blessing to everyone else. You know, you're blessed by people who enjoy what they're doing. If you're going to, serve me, I'm sorry, I'm going back again. My father drank ice cold water. And he said, boy, give me a glass of water. I went and got him a glass of water. He did it about 3 or 4 different times. And I got tired. I went to the kitchen. I found the biggest mayonnaise jar I could find. Filled it up with ice and water. Hey, Dad, here. He said, you drink it. I said, I don't want no water. He said, yes, you do. you know I had to drink all that water. It was an attitude. It was an attitude. It was an attitude. It was an attitude. My attitude wasn't right. Now, I was doing what he wanted me to do, but I had a bad attitude doing it. Whew. Y'all will catch that? It is said that man has 3 basic needs in life. And they are love, purpose, and significance. Many times humans attempt to find purpose and significance and work itself. You ever heard people be called a workaholic? I mean, you're not going to deter them. They're going to work. And they enjoy what they're doing. They got leave time, and they got more leave than anybody in the company. Want you to spend something? No, I'm good. I'll get them for another time. Solomon in Ecclesiastes chapter 2, verse 4 through 11 details his search for meaning in a variety of projects and works of all kinds. Even though the work brought some degree of satisfaction in accomplishment, his confusion was, yet when I survey all that my hands had done and what I had toiled to achieve, everything was meaningless. It chasing after the wind. Nothing was gained under the sun. Other critical biblical principles regarding work are, number one, work is done only to benefit the worker, but others also. You can't live your life just for you. It's like driving. When you were taught to drive, you were taught you don't drive just for yourself. You drive for that other person as well. And when they cut crazy, you make sure you go the other direction. And pray that God deliver you from road rage. Work is done only to benefit the worker, but others also. Well, my second point as I come to the end, number 2. Work is a gift from God and for his people. And you will be blessed. Whatever your hand find to do. A lot of things can be accomplished and done in the work of God, even in the local church, if we're not concerned about who gets the credit. And it's like people say, well, the Lord called me to minister, and I want to minister before the Lord. Well, why do you think you need the mic? Get the key, come to church around noon, nobody here, you minister to the Lord. You don't need an audience if you're ministering before the Lord. My last point, and I'm closing. Number 1, I told you about work was what? What was number the first one? Not only for you, but for others. Secondly, work is a gift from God and for his people. Finally, God equips his people for their work. You know, it takes a special personality to be a doorkeeper. Yeah, it takes a special kind of person to deal with other people. Y'all do know church people can be difficult. I'd like you to sit here, please, because this is reserved. I'm going to sit where I want to sit. This is the house of God. But there's also order in the house of God. But Solomon is in that sound booth. Now, why would you think it's okay for somebody to go in that sound booth with him to tell him what to do?